From far and wide, Oilers fans, this is Dolynny TV. And welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on Dolynny TV. I'm Tyson Dolynny, as I'll get set to take you through this trade targets episode. As guys, I got a good one for us. I think this could be a really important move for the Oilers. I'm going to try not to blur out the camera with my movements today. However, for the Oilers, there are a lot of questions to be answered at this point, right? What do? Do we sell at the deadline? Do we buy at the deadline? What are we doing with this team as it currently stands? And as I look at it, I think we can do a little bit of both, right? Yesterday, or the day before, whenever that was, I talked about selling the defense. Obviously, we got to sell Manning, Petrovic, Benning is what I felt like we had to sell. You sell any two of those three guys, maybe we're doing all right when we activate Andrej Sekera. Good, fine, dandy, okay. That's not as big of an issue as what to do up front, right? We're having the depth scoring. That's what everybody's complaining about. My thing is a complaint of heart, and of course we're not seeing enough heart, not enough character out there on the ice, so you got to shake up the dressing room somehow, and an easy way to do that is to get some new voices in there. So a big trade for 2 or 3 guys is going to help, and today I'm talking about 2 guys in particular, in Jimmy Howard and Gustav Nyquist, how they could help the Oilers. Now all of a sudden, hold on, stop a second, you're lighting up, you're worried, oh my God, we're going to have to give up the farm. But not necessarily, because you're talking about taking Jimmy Howard, who's a UFA. Detroit's trying to get rid of Gustav Nyquist because he's, well, not going to fit their new culture build according to what I've talked to for Detroit Red Wings fans, and a guy like Thrash94 Gaming. I'm sure you guys know who he is if you followed the NHL 19 circles. If not, he's a long-term buddy, and obviously I haven't talked enough about him. But you talk about trading for Gustav Nyquist and Jimmy Howard. Who do you got to give up in that situation? You've got to give up cap space, obviously. The two combined are just over $10 million in cap space. So you got to trade a guy like Milan Lucic or Andrej Sekera. You got to trade a Cam Talbot, and you got to trade something else to get that value up there, obviously. So what I propose, this trade is, I know we've already taken the first round pick off the table, but I'm saying not too late to throw it back on the table, given what the situation is with the standings. We're in limbo, up or down, no matter where you look at it at this point. So what I'm saying is, if you trade the first round pick, you're dangling the fact that, ooh, it could be a lottery pick. You might want to pick it up. It's probably going to be a lottery pick. Ooh, right? Kind of the magic around a lottery pick. Oh my God, you could have a chance at 2 picks in the top 10, 2 picks in the top 15. Ooh, right? Just that idea that it is possible for teams like Detroit to pick twice in the top 15. Well, okay, maybe now we're talking. Now we're talking is what the Detroit general manager is going to start saying. Well, suddenly you start adding Lucic and Talbot. It's not as bad because you're trading cap for cap. Lucic is a UFA just as Jimmy Howard is. Milan Lucic comes in. He's a long-term player for the Detroit Red Wings during the rebuild. Somebody to just steadify the lineup. Okay. Suddenly you're looking at a very good trade. So let's get to it here. I'm going to talk about the stats here. If you're a Red Wings fan, you would already know Jimmy Howard is 15-5 or 15-15-5 with a .913 save percentage and a .278 goals against average. That right there is an upgrade on Cam Talbot. Obviously, that is what you're paying for a little bit with that first round pick. Now, Gustav Nyquist, where it gets fun with him, is he's got 46 points and he's on par for a career year in the NHL. His best year was 54 points in the 82-game pace at his 25-year-old season in 14-15. So for Gustav Nyquist, maybe a guy who's never reached the ceiling of expectations after 2 really strong young years in his 24 and 25-year-old season with the Detroit Red Wings. So a guy who definitely has speed to burn, has the hockey sense, has the hockey skill. Why not throw him with McDavid? Obviously, you're paying a first-round pick for a first-line player with Connor McDavid. Now suddenly you're not talking such a bad situation, are you? It's actually going to pan out to be an okay one for Connor McDavid and for the Edmonton Oilers. A new voice, a new guy, Jimmy Howard, a very veteran guy, coming in and being a good voice for the Edmonton Oilers as well in the goaltending crease. Maybe a guy who can kind of tweak Mikko Koskinen a bit and tell him what's up, and we should be good to go. So for Cam Talbot and Milan Lucic, let's take a look at their stats, and then I'm going to throw one last thing at you when it comes to the trade overall, and then we'll get to why Lucic might waive his no trade clause, no movement clause to go to Detroit and make this trade happen if it were to come to fruition. So for Cam Talbot, well, he's 10, 15, and 3, 893 save percentage, and wow, this is where it gets really ugly, guys. Looking for it here, a 336 goals against average. So for Cam Talbot, it's a mess. It's a complete mess this season. It was a mess last year in Edmonton as well, and it has not gotten any better. So if you can trade Cam Talbot for sure for a UFA, fellow UFA in Jimmy Howard, you're doing all right. On the Oilers' end, you're clearing that cap space. You're giving Detroit a guy they can sign in terms of maybe a little bit less than what he was worth this year at 4.16, and saving everybody cap space all around. So Milan Lucic, the stats on him looking a little bit better after a recent little bit, I guess you could call it a hot streak. He's got 5 goals, 9 assists this year, 14 points total, and he's only a -9 through 55 games. So for Lucic, he's coming around. He's starting to improve a little bit. Now, do you trade him when the value is high? Yes, absolutely you do. But for Detroit, you ask this question here, what do you do? Do you pick up Lucic? Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. You get that veteran leadership out of a guy like Lucic. That's going to help you out quite a bit. But is it enough to make this trade worthwhile for Detroit? I'm not 100% sold it is. But if Detroit Red Wings fans are saying, yeah, we could actually take that for Goose and Howard, okay, maybe it's not as bad of a situation trading Milan Lucic as we think. However, with Lucic, the problem is, of course, being his clause on his contract about trades. Well, suddenly you sit there, he gets a chance to restart, rebuild with a new team. He's at a lost point of his career right now. Why not take a gamble, go somewhere different, an original 6 market? You know he loves those. He loved Boston. And just try to rebuild your career a little bit towards the end of it. It's not a bad move for Milan Lucic. He can go out there. He can be the protector of the young kids when he needs to be, but he can also be an impact veteran. Not exactly a player, but an impact veteran for the Detroit Red Wings if this deal were to come to fruition. So now becomes the other question. If the Oilers aren't willing to dangle the first-round pick, what do you do? Do you trade Yamamoto or Puljujarvi? That's obviously the next question. In this trade, 10 out of 10 times, I think the Oilers trade Jesse Puljujarvi to make it happen. Okay, that sounds rough. We'd prefer to trade Kailer Yamamoto, myself included. However, Jesse Puljujarvi is a guy that you can pitch at Detroit and say, hey, look, we've got this young guy who's been in the NHL for the past 3 years and in the AHL at times. He's not exactly a bona fide player. All he is a big kid that can play hockey. That's essentially all we know of Jesse Puljujarvi 3 years in at this point. So when you're talking about Jesse Puljujarvi, what you say is just, do you want him? Don't you want him? Here's what he is. Do you want to take a ball of clay and mold it into something fantastic? And for Detroit, when you're rebuilding, you're looking at the excitement of Jesse Puljujarvi being that high of a draft pick and still being that moldable. Why would you not take the chance on him and see what you could get out of him in this trade, right? You talk about now acquiring Lucic, acquiring Jesse Puljujarvi, and giving up only Gustav, Nyquist, and a guy you're not going to most likely re-sign at the end of the year anyway in Jimmy Howard. It makes a lot of friggin' sense to send Jesse Puljujarvi for the Oilers, and if you're the Detroit Red Wings. So guys, that's essentially the proposal, but as I said, there's a couple of questions. Do you trade the first round pick? Maybe, maybe not. The Milan Lucic situation is the key to this because the next downgrade you have is Sekera, but again, same thing. You got to look at the trade clauses and is it going to work out? Is he going to waive to go there? And especially for Detroit, would you want Andrej Sekera on the back end? Probably not. Milan Lucic seems to be a lot more of a solution for the Detroit Red Wings than an Andrej Sekera type player. And at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to clear just a little bit more cap space and trade a Matt Benning or an Alexander Petrovic to make this trade happen. That's fine. We can give up as much value as we want. Gustav Nyquist on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's line makes the Oilers a 10 times better team. You get a Jimmy Howard in there to say, hey, we got to change this culture a little bit. And it could be a very vastly different situation for the Oilers down the stretch if they were to make this move in the next week or at least before the deadline. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let you have your say in the comments section down below. Am I crazy? Am I out to lunch? Like I said, I've got a Red Wings fan backing it up. I got the DMs, so it should all make sense in the end. I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. Make sure to comment. I will catch you in the next one.